Welcome to City on the Hill. I'm excited today. I got a really dope guest. My guy Marv, the fellow dad, right?
Yes, sir.
Jack of all trades, musician, photographer, videographer, podcaster, audio engineer, like legit, man. Like you are phenomenal at what you do, man. I'm excited to have you on. I'm excited to kind of break bread with you, man, and just talk and share. I know we have had our like moments where we just chilling and we kind of get into some deep convo. So I knew this was like inevitable for sure, man. So I'm excited to have you on, man.
Oh man, y'all, I'm grateful, appreciative, man, just to even be considered, man. I'm humble, man. Humble.
Yeah, man. So I guess I want to start off by telling people a little bit about you, man. So I guess, where does it all start for you? You know, where does it all, cause I know when I first met you, it was like, so obviously we met through a mutual friend,
right.
My guy Mach, right? And man, he spoke you up like, yo, this guy does everything. And I'm like, word? All right, cool. And he's like, yeah, you know, you'll like this dude a lot, whatever. And when I met you, you literally did everything, you know? Which was super dope, man. And it was inspiring, man. Like, you know, so like, I guess my first question or if we can just take it back to the beginning, it was like, how does young Marv become this Marv, you know?
Shoot, man. Taking it all the way back.
Yeah.
How did I become this Marv? That's a good question, man. And I can't say I've thought about it before, but let's think about it right now. There was definitely one defining moment that I had in my youth. So my uncle, he did a lot of stuff. He was dope. I remember when we were younger, he was adding extra batteries to his remote control car, like to the fact where the motors would blow up, you know what I mean? Souping stuff up. So he was always super handy as far as like fixing stuff up. So on that tip, I remember I had to do brakes on my car. So I wasn't all the way young Marv, but he was like, yo.
I've never done brakes on my car, by the way. But go ahead.
He was like, look it up. He was like, you could do anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
this is before YouTube?
This is before YouTube.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? This was before it was like popping. Like you could look up stuff on YouTube, but it wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't what it is now. And from then on, like I tried that. And then another actual defining moment was I was getting a system hooked up in my car. And
I feel like your car was your thing.
Yeah, actually, because my car is actually how I got into photography as well. But I'll tell this story first. So I was getting a system hooked up into this car. And I'm 18. I just graduated high school. Shout out to my grandmother. She got me a car. Big dog. I'm getting a system hooked up. And I got to sit down with the dudes and watch them do it. Like I was just there all day. I didn't drop it off and then go.
Right.
And I'm seeing these dudes try to figure out how to put the system in. And in my mind, something clicked. I'm like, these dudes are figuring it out. They have a better understanding of how things work because they put them in. But as far as like different cars, different stuff, like it's not an end all be all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you have the basis of how stuff works, but as far as like applying it to different stuff, they figuring it out just like we figuring it out. So I watched them figuring it out and I'm like, all right.
I can do this.
Yeah. So the next time, I actually totaled that car, but I got a new car and I put the system in myself the next time.
That's fire. So you're talking about, so these two moments literally was like, oh, might as well just try to do things. All right. But where does the drive to do different things though? Like, so you have all these like cards that you have, right? These literal professions that you can, you know, support your family with. Like, I know you didn't start just randomly like, yo, I'm good at photography. Let me just like, it takes time and dedication, I think, to master your craft, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, you know, I'm actually one of those guys that I feel like don't, throw all your gifts, like in different baskets and like just focus on one thing and then you can kind of crush that one thing. But literally you are good at a bunch of different things that can like, you know, like supersede what someone's expectations of the normal photographer. So like what makes you devote your time to that and other things?
I think I have a drive to have like the best version of anything. You know what I mean? That I've ever seen, or I want to be at that top level of anything that I do. So like
Okay.
my friends would make fun of me and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, Marv said he's gonna make a table, right?" And they'd be like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna go he's gonna grow a tree and then he's gonna chop the tree down."
That's amazing.
And do it himself. That's what they'll like make fun of me about doing, because I'm always trying to sauce it and have the best version if I ever had. So like if I'm cooking and I'm watching all these cook videos, and as good as it looks on YouTube,
Right.
like that's how I want mine to taste. That's how I want everything to be. So like photography, I seen like a style that I really liked, and like how clean it was and how great that was, and I was like, that's what I want to do. So
you literally just see stuff and say, "Man, I'm into it. Let me see if I can learn it front to back."
Yeah, once I
That's dope.
dive into something, I'm just like, you know what? Let's do this.
That's fire.
And you know this, I respect like each craft, and I respect the people who do it. So I'll never go out and be like, I do something,
right,
and I'm not at least like as good as most people.
You got to be entry level.
Yeah, like
you got to be entry level. Yeah. I feel that. What do you think gives you that drive? Like, where do you get that drive from? Is it like your mom, dad? Is it like your grandmother? Like, what's the root of that drive? Is it like is it like proving yourself? Is it wanting to be the best? So for me, I feel like a lot of my drive came from, to be honest, it came from, you know, my grandfather was considered this, you know, well-known, loved man that did so much work in Brooklyn, right? Then my dad was this well-known, loved man that everybody loved. And I think it took me a while to stop trying to live like them and just be a different type of impact, if that makes sense.
Nah,
you know what I mean? So, even though I love to model things after them, I think I could say I didn't really grow up, right, with either of them. So it was almost like trying to figure life out on its own, but live up to this expectation that people kind of told you about. And I think what drives me, I guess for me, it's two different stages, right? When I was younger, it's, you know, them too, but now it's my kid. Right. So I guess for you, where does that kind of like drive come from?
So I just went to North Carolina with my grandmother, and
recently,
a couple of days ago. And when you're in the car with somebody for 8 hours, you know what I'm saying? You talk,
you chat,
you chat it out, and you also just get to really soak in and like,
and
see like the things that they do, things that they think. So my grandmother is like, if Hustler had a picture in a dictionary,
that's amazing.
That's my grandmother, man. And she can't sit still. She's about 75 or better. She tells me she's 21. And she got both her hips replaced or whatever. And she cannot stop moving. Like, she's always doing something, right? Always doing something. And for me, and she don't really bother me, but a lot of other people, you can kind of get into like a little, you know, like my aunts and stuff like that, they get into it. My family recently went down south with her. They was all like, "You, we ain't never doing this again."
That's
grandma.
Hilarious.
But for me, I just laugh at it because I know her heart. I know what she means. But this chick, straight like that, right? And so I think some of that drive is just innate in me. It's just passed down from like my lineage. But unlike my grandmother, I like to work hard, but I like to work smart.
All right. Hopefully she doesn't watch this. But yeah.
No. I told her this. We had a interesting time. You know what I mean? Because she knows though. Right. She knows. She knows she a lot.
That's
you know you're a lot,
errors, you know?
Yeah. You know, she know what she knows.
That's amazing.
And you can't tell her nothing.
Was that the same grandmother that you were like throwing out like scrap metal with the other day?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Listen, like she'll hit me up and be like, "Hey Marv, I need some help with this," right? She'll be like, "Yeah, it's just gonna be we just moving something." Next thing I know, here's an 800-pound refrigerator that we sliding out of somebody's garage, and then we putting in this thing. We doing a drive to drop it all, and I'm just like, "Grandma, we can't do this." And she's like, "Come on, yeah. Da, da, da. And you know what? We did it.
That's fire.
You know, so she's just one of those like you ain't gonna tell her you can't do it.
You know, I feel like you know our grandparents or our parents, like there's this thing that which I do respect from their generations, is that like I'm gonna get it done regardless. I'm gonna find a way to get it done.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I've always wanted to adapt and always wanted to kind of drill into my head. Look, I'm gonna get it done. So that's dope, man. I love hearing that story, man. I love that connection. Let's talk about fatherhood for a little bit. You know, for me, my son is everything. You know, I got another boy on the way. You know, I'm excited about that. And you are an amazing dad, man. I see you move with your kid and the things we talk about and the things you're trying to prep for and the things you're trying to kind of hustle for, to put you in like a good position for them. Like, I guess talk about fatherhood a little bit, you know, like what makes you, I think like this year, 2021, 2022, even 2019 is almost like, for me, it's the year of the dads, you know, it's just like a resurgence of like amazing dads just kind of putting themselves out there and say like, hey, I love being a dad. I love being, you know, a father to my kids. I love being, you know, supportive, a provider. So I guess like fatherhood, tell me, what's it about for you? You know, how did you feel having your first baby? Like, tell me it all, man.
Man, so I've been, my little brothers, they've been with me since forever, right? So I was changing diapers.
You have how many brothers?
I have 6 younger siblings.
Wow.
And 5 of them are brothers. So I've been changing diapers since high school. So like the running joke in high school was like, yeah, Marv got kids, because like I couldn't go certain places at certain times because I had the babysitter watch the kids. All my friends, they love the kids, but
that's real.
So since then, I got kind of like a jump start or a head start on like how much responsibility it is, and like how precious it is. Like, man, before I had my baby, my little brothers, I took them to one of their basketball games, right? My man turns around, boom, boom, hits a shot, and then he just looks back at me and he's running down, and I'm just like, what? What is this feeling?
Yeah. I'm like, that's so good.
Yeah. And I was just like, what is this? This is weird, you know? And I knew that whenever I had a kid, that it's going to be that on steroids.
Right. Would you say would you say you felt almost a father figure to them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I was the man in the house.
Okay.
There's nobody else there. I did everything. Anything that they wanted to try or didn't even want to try.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Anything I wanted to try, I took them to do. We went fishing. We did paintballing. We did mini golf. We did any and every activity.
That's fire.
To try to give them an opportunity to see something that they was interested in. I mean, the main thing I really tried to drill into them was basketball. Right. They think they could play. They still can't play. But,
nah, man, I think I respect it. I love it. You know, you remind me a lot of my brother, because I think when my pops passed when I was young, my brother was like, you know, I'm young. I'm the little brother, right? Uh-huh. So I feel like I didn't cherish or appreciate the amount of sacrifice he made for me. You know what I mean? Like he was a young man. Like he should have been living his life, but here he is making sure I'm straight. And I can appreciate that, man, from you and him. And that's fire, man. Now that I'm older, I'm like, yo, like legit sacrifices were made. You know what I mean? Like instead of me doing this or spending my money on this, I'm gonna make sure they good. And I think that's dope, man. So all right. So the baby comes and talk me through it. How you feeling? You know,
man. So the birthing process was crazy. You know what I'm saying? So like, I've been with my wife since high school.
I almost slept through mine, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been with my wife since high school, and I'm like, I know her. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I know her. Like, we got married.
You guys together for a while?
Yeah. When we got married, we were already together for like 13 years.
Oh, you got one of those like TV relationships.
Yeah, sure.
Varsity jacket.
Yo, I got a picture.
Amazing.
Yeah, she was on the step squad, and I was basketball captain or whatever. So yeah,
right. One Tree Hill all over again. All right, cool.
One Tree Hill out here, and so I'm like, I know her. Like, it's been forever, man. There's levels, bro, and they keep going and going. So like, seeing all of that, you know what I mean, come to pass, like a baby coming out of there, you know what I'm saying? The aftermath, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it just a little bit. And
I feel like you end up falling in love more. Am I bugging?
No, yeah.
Like you just, go ahead. Keep going.
So like, now you got to take care of her. You know what I'm saying? You got to take care of the baby. But it's like, if I seen that on TV, I'm grossed out. I'm like, oh, turn it off. I'm about to pass out, all of that. But like in real life,
it's an experience, different. Man.
Yeah, it's different. So like, baby comes out and just I don't know what it is. It's just like, boom, got him.
Yeah.
Got him. And it's just like, honestly, I'm still like settling in to like believe that I'm really like a dad still.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel. Like I'm like, I got a kid. Like I keep.
Yeah, no, I think for me, I think it's the stages, right? Mm-hmm. I think for me, it's, man, I was in love with my wife, but I think so there's this thing that they say that dads, like that innate, if I'm saying it right, that trigger that kind of hits, moms. It's like the minute they know they're having a baby, there's this instant love for their baby. You know, there's this instant protection over their belly or whatever. Right. Like you could hear it in conversations. You could hear it in just so many different things that our wives have talked to us about. But for dads, they say it's actually hard to connect. Like there's even like small statistics that dads struggle even when the baby's born to really connect with that baby or really be like, oh, this is it. So this thing is like, when did you know? You know, and I remember somebody was saying like, it took me a year and a half to actually know, you know? So for me, it was different. When my wife was pregnant with Jordan, I wasn't thrilled. I was happy, you know? I think before she was pregnant, it was like, man, I want to create life with you. Like I want to, just because I was so in love with her, I am still. But, you know, there was this thing, you know, you always say like, oh man, I want to create life with you. And I want to, you know, I want to make a baby and all these things. But then when it happens, you're like, oh man, like the bills got to get right. You know, the money got to be right. There's just a whole bunch of things that I think, dads go through mentally that is not necessarily spoken about, right? Or talked about.
The logical stuff.
Right. So I think we're trying to figure all that out every day. And we got 9 months to get it right. Like we got 9 months to figure it out.
The clock is ticking.
Yeah. So I think when my son was born, you know, that moment was crazy because I remember we were waiting in the hospital for a very long time. And she was just there and that boy was just sitting there. And I remember falling asleep on like the couch situation when we were in the room, and I remember the doctor like hitting me, like she's like, yo, like your wife's about to give birth. You want to get up? I'm like, oh my God. I threw on my shoes real quick. And it was like happening so fast. Right. And I remember when he came out, man, instead of me looking at him like, wow, this is amazing, I looked at her and I was just so in love with her all over again. I was like, yo, like, I love you, yo. Like, you're amazing. But I didn't know the kid. I struggled, man. This is real. I struggled so much. And I remember I took care of him one day, that day you got to do by yourself.
Yeah, that day.
Infamous day.
I remember that day.
Bro,
definitely.
That day, and talk about it, that day, I fell so in love with this kid. Like, here he is. My wife left. I think she went to get like one of those massages I hooked her up with. And, I'm sitting there with this kid and I'm holding him and I'm like, all right, so what do we do? You know what I mean? Like, what now? And it was an experience, man. It was such an experience that it wasn't crazy, but it's just like time slowed down. It was like every minute, every second, the facial reactions, the him trying to find comfort in you and all these things. And I was just like, oh man, this is it. Like, I am stuck. I am glued on this kid. And I think, for me, because of past situations, because of, lifestyle choices in the past, it was almost like when that day happened, it was like, all right, it's protect you every day. Like, if I can throw you in a bubble, it's over. I'm gonna find a bubble on Amazon and throw you in it, man. But yeah, man, that was that day for me. So, and that was actually a couple months into pregnancy, actually. Okay. I mean, into birth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's dope, man. So what was yours like?
That's funny. That one day, where did my wife go? I think she went to like, somebody's having a baby shower or something. She was only, you're only going to get like 2 hours maybe. Right. You got.
Seems like a whole day.
Yeah. It do seem like a whole day. And, she left and it was like the first time giving the baby a bottle and stuff like that. So like, I got a little bit of prep from my brothers and stuff, but again, it's completely different.
Right.
With your own kids. So that day, the running joke was, I used to tell her, I'd be like, Daddy loves you too, because she's just glued to mom. You know what I mean? She's doing the breastfeeding and all that. And then whenever I get her, it's just like, I'm trying to put her to sleep. I'm like, yo, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? I like you, but obviously it's a baby. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So that was the running joke. But that day, man, she was chilling when we was just chilling. And it's something about when, like somebody needs you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like when somebody is dependent on you and that's the only way that can happen or they can survive or whatever. That feeling of protecting, that feeling of like, like as dads, like, let somebody, you know what I mean? Let me send her to school and somebody do something. You know what I mean? You be ready to yoke up, you know what I mean? One of these other little preschoolers or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like it's that deep. So
yeah. And you got a girl too, right? So
yes, sir.
Nah, that's dope, man. That's fire, bro. This episode is sponsored by Brooklyn First Printing. Brooklyn First Printing gives you quality work with quality prices. They do everything from shirts, hats, hoodies, and so much more. Hit them up on Instagram, DM them, and give them code COAH for a discount on your first order. So let's talk about marriage, man. I know you got to share about your baby, and let's talk about marriage a bit. I would say growing up the way you did, right? Growing up, experience what you're experiencing. Was your idea of marriage the same as what it ended up being? Like, did you know that, you wanted to marry someone? Did you know that all this was going to come with marriage, or how did that impact you? Like for me, like I knew I wanted to marry my wife. I knew I was in love with her. I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, but there was no one that literally came by me and said, hey, my man, this is what marriage is. You know what I mean? This is what it really means to be married. And not that I wish I would have known that, right? But to be honest, man, I wish I was kind of navigated or guided through like the motions and the experiences and the conversations. You see the memes on Instagram about marriage and all these little funny jokes, but they're all true. Like they're all true things that you kind of got to like go through together. You know what I mean? So I guess talk about that a bit.
Yeah, man. So going into marriage, like I didn't know what it was,
Right.
per se. I thought it was a piece of paper, and then now you live together, and it's whatever's on TV.
Right.
And it wasn't until so I don't have an example of marriage per se,
Right.
like in my immediate family.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So it was when I got my wife that when we were coming up, I got to see her side of her family, and she had her grandparents who were the OGs, and then they had their kids, and then their kids had their kids.
Right.
And for me, just like getting around with the family, getting that penny, you know what I'm saying? And rice and beans,
what is this?
Yeah. I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Yeah, we were doing like 3 Thanksgivings at one point. You know what I mean? Had one at my house, stopped by my aunt's house, and then stop over in Brooklyn. So it's just like boom, boom, boom. We going from east to west.
And your wife comes from a big family?
Yeah, huge family.
And it's like Christmas morning, everybody get together type joint?
So
that's amazing.
Yeah, so they do Christmas Eve actually.
Yeah. We do Christmas Eve too.
Yeah, in Puerto Rico.
My wife actually does Christmas morning. I looked at her like she was weird. Said,
Christmas
that's what they do on TV.
Nah, we did Christmas morning.
That's fire.
Yeah. I remember just waiting the night before, like, oh man, it's about to go down. Seeing little gents with my name on it. But yeah, marriage, man, like I had no idea like what it was gonna be. And it wasn't until we did like premarital counseling when I was like, oh, like this is real. Like,
yeah.
Oh, we gonna like what? I have to do what? You know what I'm saying? No matter what? Like what? I was like, this is a lot, but cool. So the engagement happens, the premarital marriage thing happens, and we were together already for a long time. You know what I mean? So I'm like, God,
it's the same.
Same thing.
Definitely not.
Something happens, man, when you get married.
Do you think different. It's pressure, or do you think it's just like something that kind of needs to happen?
So for me, I think it's when you're doing it and you know how serious it is, like before God. Like, I think that something special happens when they say the two become one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You move as a unit. Your blessings are doubled. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything that you do now reflects on this other person. Everything that she does reflects on you.
Right.
So, like, you got double the blessings and probably double the trouble. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything's yin and yang, you know what I mean? Like, as good as it is,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It could be as bad as it is, depending on your perspective, man.
Yeah, of course. I think for me, I didn't, when my pops passing young, I didn't really have any male figures that can really, I also feel, which is a whole different conversation. I think the generation before, they weren't too hip of sharing. So I don't think anybody was trying to share like, yo, listen, this is what you don't do as a husband or whatever. So for me, it was a real trial and error, man. I think it was a lot of development. I think it was a lot of learning. It was a lot of not being childish. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think when you're young, certain things, if you're not kind of like kicked game, you know what I mean? Some bad habits kind of stay. And I think that's what happened with me, man. And I think, I had this perception of what marriage was, right? I had this idea. And then when I got married and she was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. Like, no, that's not going to happen. And I'm like, wait, but Philip Banks says, you know what I mean? But, yeah, man, I think that has been the thing that kind of I've enjoyed the most is like identifying who I'm becoming in marriage or who I'm becoming personally just by myself because of my marriage. You know what I mean? I feel like my wife has made me like 10 times better, when it comes to expression, when it comes to feelings, when it comes to being impulsive, when it comes to just so many things. I feel like she's helped me in so many ways. What are some of the things that you feel like you've gotten better at because of your marriage?
Yeah, so I've gotten better at, so like, people out there, they say they cold hearted or whatever, like, and I don't say I'm cold hearted, but like, I'm actually like bummed sometimes. I'm like, yo, I guess I should have a little more emotion. You know what I'm saying? And I have emotion. Like I'm don't not have it, but like, you know what I mean? I cried maybe like 3 times in the past, like in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like besides like when I was young and then get hurt or whatever. But like as far as like for emotional stuff. So my perspective on people obviously is like, yo, they shouldn't feel that way. They should be all right. You know what I mean? Like, what you mean? Like, they gonna be offended if I don't. That's not how I mean it. So like, and my wife is on the opposite spectrum. Like, she understands, that side of people better.
Right.
So now when I go to move or make decisions or, in relationships, I have another person to bounce ideas off of, and she'll be like, yeah, nah, you're not doing that. Or like, yeah, nah, you have to do this for this person, or you have to do that. And the same thing on her side, like, cause she'll be too much to that side. And I'll be like, nah, we're not gonna, at our expense, you know what I'm saying? Let these people walk all over us. You know what I'm saying? So like that yin and yang kind of thing is where I think really are like some major benefits from marriage. When you marry the right person, when you're equally yoked. Equally yoked don't mean you have the same issues and problems and insecurities. You know what I'm saying? It means that their things, you know what I mean, are the things that you don't struggle at. And then now she can help you where you're weak, and where she's weak, you can help her.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the equalness is.
Do you feel like communication has been like on point since the beginning, or is that something you guys have like gradually learned?
We tried to have communication on point at the beginning, but as you get into relationships, you get more comfortable. And for me, I say you don't really know nobody up until like 6 years, and you still learning about them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I believe that.
People be out here like, oh, no, they've been together for 5 years. I'm like, that don't mean nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, people could pretend to be somebody else for 5 years easy.
Yeah.
So until you really get past those barriers and you start opening up now, it's like, okay, we're not communicating like, oh, you felt this way this whole time, but you never said nothing.
Right.
So our communication now is really good. And you kind of know, at this point, you like know each other. So like sometimes somebody would do something crazy, right? We out somewhere.
Right.
Somebody do something crazy. My wife would just look at me and then like hit me. And I'm like, yo, I didn't even say anything. Cause she know what I'm thinking. You know what I mean? And on the flip side, sometimes I'm not thinking that.
Right.
And she would say like, oh yeah, you was thinking like that. And I was like, actually, I wasn't. You know what I mean? So like communication it's
key.
It's definitely key.
It's key, man. Yeah, no, for me, man, I sucked at it, man. I think I'll be honest, man. My whole first year of marriage, I think I was somebody completely different. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be this model husband so bad that I literally put everything that I was truly to the side. And I didn't work on anything. I didn't work on any of my stuff because I was being this person that I thought she wanted or thought she needed. So I think my first year of marriage was horrible. It was cool. But I think it was horrible internally for me. Mm-hmm. Because I think there's only so long you can go without things starting to like trigger you or try to affect you. Mm-hmm. And I remember like a year and a half in, I kind of told her, I said, listen, man, I can't be this way anymore. Like, and it wasn't like I need to be a bad husband. I just need to be a little bit more of myself and show you a little bit more of myself. I think for me, I think the fact of, I think losing my dad and not necessarily being as close with my mom, I was like, well, I didn't have that, but I got this. So I put this facade up so way I didn't lose that, you know? And I think as I grew And I realized, I said, man, if she loved me, you know, she gonna take all of me.
Yeah.
You know? And I remember like a year and a half in, I told her, I said, I kind of got to let loose a little bit. You know what I mean? Like Glory Road, you got to let us loose, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I got to let loose a little bit. And I think she was very, very like supportive. She was like, yo, I don't want you to be anything less. You know, but it also came with like, yo, you got to dial that back a bit. You know, you got to dial it back a bit. Like, okay, now that I'm seeing who you really are, I still love you, but let's work on some things too. You know what I mean? Like, let's, like, you don't got to hide it from me no more. And interesting enough, I feel like our conversations are way better, not because of Jordan, but you know, when you got a kid, they run the day.
Mm-hmm.
They run the whole day. You know, it's not until the baby's down where you can actually like spend time together.
Yeah.
And I think those couple hours is like,
you appreciate them.
Oh man, it's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get into the talks, you get into the shows, you get into the, you know, my wife has this thing that even when we're watching a show or something, she'll pause it and then she'll get into a conversation and we're talking. And it's just like, that's you know, in the beginning, I was like, yo, can you stop pausing the show?
Yeah.
But now it's like, nah, I'm enjoying some of the conversation, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying some of the conversation. It's cause like I almost lost sight in like, man, everything was Jordan, that let's be real. I forgot to ask her, yo, how's your day going?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how you feeling or whatever the case is, son. And I think those crucial moments have been, you know, fire, you know? Yeah, you got anything for that or?
Yeah. I mean, just piggyback on what you were saying. A lot of people, they have a kid and then the kid is the main focus, but the kid wouldn't be there if it wasn't
right
their focus here. So, it's not the kid first.
Right.
It's your wife first. It's your spouse first.
It's my dog first. But
yeah. I mean, it's the dog first. And then your wife. But,
nah, I get you.
Yeah. Cause if y'all not good, the kid ain't gonna be good. It don't matter like how much you want to love the kid. Like the kid is gonna be loved.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, so as long as mom and dad is good, that's again with those experiences. You know what I mean? Like they be picking up on all kind of other stuff.
They do.
That we don't pick up on. So like if
they do,
mom and dad ain't right, they know something.
They know off rip.
Yeah, man.
Then you get picked on. Let me stop. Yeah. But yeah. So then what? Fast forward a couple years later, you and your wife start a pod together.
Yeah.
Like you guys were used to kind of like working together. I know she sings, right? And you're a musician, obviously. How's that dynamic? And two, what made you guys even, cause I think the concept of the pod is phenomenal. Oh, so man, talk a little bit about that, man.
So, since we were young, so that was one of the things where I was like, check, like we out here. Like when I found out my wife,
a girl that could sing.
Hey, look, I was like, all right, your face is good. I'm like, yes. And then you singing? I'm like, yeah. And then she had made me a plate of, the fried chicken. What is it? The pork chop, whatever, chuleta, and some rice and beans. And I ate that. I was like, okay, yep.
Oh, she cooked it.
Yeah, she cooked it.
Gotcha.
So it was like the trifecta right there.
Gotcha.
I was like, okay, yeah, I gotta marry this chick. But
and you brought nothing to the table.
I bought experiences.
Gotcha,
That's what I bought to the table. So she is now coming into her own with singing, honestly. So like,
okay,
as soon as I heard her, I'm like, yo, you're dope, right? I'm like, this is fire, and I was just like enamored by her voice. So I would always try to get her to like sing and stuff like that, and she's always just like, nah, right? Like putting it off. And it's like what I was saying earlier, where people think that other people are like experts. You know what I'm saying? Like you go to Pep Boys and you think that the guys that are changing your oil are experts. Those are guys getting paid $10 an hour who got hired there. Like they're not mechanics per se. Some of them are. Some of them are.
Right.
But for the most part,
I get what you're saying.
They'll mess your stuff up.
You
could learn what they could learn.
If they learn it, you can. Yeah. for sure.
So that's approaching things like singing, approaching things like, especially like music. Music, some stuff is bad, right? But once you get to a certain level, it's about decision. It's about doing stuff on purpose, doing stuff intentionally. And it's whether or not you like it or not. It's not whether or not, I mean, if you're hitting wrong notes, you're hitting wrong notes or whatever. Yeah, I mean, if you off, you off.
You off, you off.
You know what I mean? But
you can be off and not know it, but
yeah. But if you're hitting the right notes, like it's not good or bad. It's just whether you like it or you're not not like it. So just her tone and all that stuff, trying to get her to like embrace that and do that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, she's a big Celine Dion fan, actually. Yeah, I never listened to Celine Dion, especially like coming up where I was coming from. But we listen to all kind of music now.
Right, you know right.
But so that whole time since I met her, I've been trying to get her to sing and stuff like that. So one day we were coming home and we would always have these talks because we had a long drive home, usually like a half hour, 45 minutes coming from like rehearsal or whatever. And one time we put on this song, and for me, when the song pops on, I'm listening to just the music, really. I'm just like, oh, you hear that bass line? Like, right? So
them changes.
Yeah. So she got some of that. I was like, oh, so like listen to this. And you know how you can, when you really start listening, you can pinpoint like certain little things that you never heard before. Like, oh, is that cowbell? So
more cowbell.
She got that, but she always listened to lyrics.
Okay.
And she was like, oh man, I love the meaning of this song. I'm
big
like,
on words.
Yeah. And I'm like, I didn't even know the words to the song. Like, I could hum the melody, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So we were coming back and we started diving into that. And it was just like, we started breaking down songs in the car while we was driving home. Like, oh yeah, this song. Like, oh wow, that's crazy. They said X, Y, Z. So we loved it. We just did that. That was something we did all the time. And then I looked at her, I'm like, yo, I feel like this would be like a dope podcast.
Fire.
And I was like, yo, and then maybe we could do a cover of the song. So for me, I'm still surprised that I was able to get her to sing and like put it out there.
Right.
So that's a tough thing to do. You know what I'm saying? To put yourself out there.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Especially with anything, you know what I mean? Like speaking, singing, but putting it out on the internet. Complete different ballgame.
It's good, man. You should definitely, I guess, give everybody the name too. That way they can check it out.
Yeah, the podcast is called Read Between the Lyrics, and we're on everything: Spotify, Apple, YouTube. We got all of that, and we do a cover. We break down a song, what it means to us, and we do.
Oh, what it means to you guys.
Covers. Yeah, because we could throw out like songs are like art. It's like modern art.
Subjective.
Really.
Right.
Very subjective. So, and that's why we like to, from our perspective, and I mean, our perspective is
right.
Is different than other people's perspective. So
it's fire, man. And you guys are good at it, man. I think the concept is fire, man.
Oh man, I appreciate it.
I'm excited to see more stuff. So where does Marv go from here? Like, what does the next 5 years look like?
Man, so for me, anything I've ever done, like photography, videography, now like audio engineering, podcasting, any of these next steps, I used to have plans. You know what I mean? I used to say like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be that. And it always would morph into something else, depending on what I needed or what was needed. You know what I mean? To help my peoples out or to get to where I was going next. So honestly, like I have like a soft plan, but my plan is to do what I love.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And what I love doing is helping people reach their dreams, helping people be successful. And I think I can do that through my various different skills that I have. Yeah.
That's dope.
And for me, I just want to do dope stuff. I want to work hard, but I want to be fulfilled. I want to do something that has meaning to me.
Of course. That's dope. That's fire, man. Listen, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being on. Man, I'll throw it out there. You are running, helping me run this thing. You are behind this. You're the engine and machine behind this thing. And I appreciate you for opening up your doors and your studio to me, man, and working with me on this. And man, I pray nothing but, success and great things for you, man. And I appreciate you being on. You are my guy. And thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man.
Always.